So this will be a lot of information in a short amount of time, but we are recording this so you guys will be able to access this recording in the future. If you want to look at some action items that we're going to talk about for both juniors and seniors, we're going to roll through this a little bit because we have both groups in this webinar. We'll talk about where juniors are at and what they should be doing, and where seniors are at and what you guys should be doing in these final moments. From there. So the purpose of the webinar is this is our part 2 of the college recruiting series that we've revamped here in 2023. We're going to go over a short recap of part 1, talk about some NCAA facts and figures, how sports recruits can help you guys as you should be utilizing it at this point, junior and senior action items that we discussed, and my final thoughts as a former college assistant coach, former college player, someone that was heavily involved in the administrative side of things, and any discussion, question, and answer you guys might have. So for those that don't know, before I say that, my name is Chris. I am the head coach of the 2005 boys team as well as the 2008 boys team. I assist with the college recruiting here at NLSA, and I am here for you, right? If you ever have questions, please approach me. We can have conversations about where you're at and what you want to do in your adventure and your progress of college recruiting, right? We're here to assist you and help you. Coach Brian did an in-person talk about the COVID-19 landscape, or about the recruiting landscape and how COVID-19 has affected it, the transfer portal that has affected it, the international influence and the effect it's having, as well as the coaching carousel. So in 2020, something crazy happened like COVID-19, and that actually threw a wrench in a lot of programs that had their seasons canceled or cut short or modified in any way throughout the year of 2020 to 2021, as well as 2020. That would have been fall of 21, as well as the fall of 2020. So there was some effect in 21, but mostly in the fall of 2020. Spring sports, not soccer, obviously, in 2020 of spring, where the NCAA granted players a 5th year of eligibility where they could get that year back based off whatever their conference, whatever their school did, or their division did, based on canceling a season, postponing a season, having modified championships, whatever it was. So a lot of players had the opportunity to get their season back and continue to play, where we're still seeing the trickle-down effect, where those 5th and 6th year college students might still have the opportunity to be playing because they were awarded that extra year due to COVID. So the landscape of recruiting now, a junior, senior rising through the recruiting process, still is competing against maybe some 23, 24-year-olds that have been in college and are still working on their master's degree and still have eligibility. The transfer portal is also another thing that is affecting the landscape for high school student athletes and recruits going to compete and try and get a roster spot as a true freshman. A few years back, when a player wanted to transfer and have permission to talk to another school, their current coach at their school had to authorize and sign off on them saying, hey, I'd like to talk to this college coach. I'd like to transfer schools. I'm not happy, or whatever it may be. Some coaches didn't authorize that, some did. And now the NCAA has put the power in the student athlete, knowing that they've empowered the student athlete by allowing them to choose if they want to transfer, right? It is the student athlete in control. The coach does not have to authorize that form. They're free to put themselves in this portal and pretty much get recruited internally from the NCAA as a method of finding a new school if they're not happy, or maybe they want to get closer to home, whatever it may be. But an interesting stat that came up in the fall of 2022 was that 8 of the 10 players on the Johns Hopkins women's soccer team at one point were Division I student athletes. And that's pretty wild to think that 8 of those players were initially on a Division I roster. It just goes to show how competitive it is. The international influence of recruiting is a little bit of a trickle-down effect. The men's side has seen it pretty historically, but it's been ramped up at the Division 1 and 2 levels. There are some at the Division 3, but you're not dealing with a ton of competition at the Division 3 level. The women's side has started to see an influx of some international competition for players that are 19, 20 years old that want to come to the United States to get a degree, and they're 2 and 3 years older, they're 2 and 3 years stronger, whatever it may be. That is now becoming a competitive, advantage for some coaches to recruit internationally. And then, as always, the coaching carousel is something that we've dealt with for years, and it happens every year. Unfortunately, coaches get fired, some coaches leave, some coaches get promoted, some coaches say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Whatever happens, you need to just do your own research and make sure and look at the coach's bio and see how many seasons they've coached for, whether it's at one school or 2 schools. If they've been at 5 schools, you kind of have an understanding of what they might be doing. If they're trying to work their way up, just understand that landscape changes a lot for some of these coaches and what their own personal goals are, which you have to respect. From the NCAA, some facts and figures I always like to put out there to understand, hey, this is like actually information from the NCAA website that they put out. And these are some numbers that they recently grabbed from, I think this was 2 years ago, because sometimes the information is delayed coming out. About almost 400,000 women's soccer or girls soccer players in high school, and only 7% of them played at the Division 1, 2, or 3 level. On the boys' side, there's over 450,000 high school soccer players, and only 5.5 were on a division or on an NCAA roster. So you need to understand that while recruiting is very fun and we want to go play in college, this is a competitive level, and not many people go on to play at that. So you got to do the work behind the scenes and make yourself stand out. And that's what we're going to talk about here tonight. So what we do on Sports Recruits, which I hope that most of you are actively engaged and have been working on your profiles and doing your legwork behind the scenes to make sure that you stand out. A new thing, you guys have not seen it yet, as you can now filter what a coach is looking for if they filled out what their needs are each year. So we're going to go into a quick demo, as long as my computer doesn't explode here, of my page that I made for myself as a player on my 2005 team for a demo. So I created my own profile real quick to give you guys a short demonstration on the screen to show you, hey, this is kind of what you can do now as a student athlete to see if you might be a fit for a school based off coaches, what they fill out from Sports Recruits, and to say, hey, I have some roster needs that I'm looking for. And if you guys are on Sports Recruits and you have all these student athletes across the nation to say, hey, I'm looking for this, we're going to show you that right now. So you go under the schools tab at the top right here, you click this, and you click the search button on the left. Because this information is pulling a lot right here, it might take a second, so just sit tight for me. But when the search feature comes up, Sports Recruits had location, academics, majors, athletics. That's what they were, that's what they had on their initial search engine and what they were working on. They've now added this new feature called roster needs. So when this loads, there we go. If I look into a roster need and my profile says that I am a 2024 graduate and a midfielder, of the 1,538 schools out there on the boys' side, I am a full match for 13 of them, right? That doesn't mean that every school out there has gone on the Sports Recruits and done this. There is just a handful of schools that are progressively doing it. And as Sports Recruits puts more information out to coaches to say, hey, please fill out your needs real quick. You don't have to create an account. That all information will all be sent to you from players. You could be a potential match for 48 more schools. And then you hit apply filters. And now you can say, wow, this is pretty cool. I've put in some parameters to say who is looking for a 2024 midfielder on Sports Recruits. And because I'm in Pennsylvania, I'll type in and I'll say maybe 100 miles from where I live based off the roster needs. There's going to be 8 schools out there that are looking for a 2024 midfielder, right? And I think that's pretty cool to be like, hey, I'm going to email Misericordia right now and say, hey, coach, would love for you to come out and see me play this spring. I see that you're interested in looking for 2024 midfielders. You have a great business program, and I'd love to get a degree in finance to be a financial advisor in the future. And you've had a very successful a very successful past couple seasons in soccer, and I would love to contribute. Please come watch me play. Here's my schedule. Here's my uniform, all that good stuff. So use this to the extent of your ability and build your target list. And when we talk about building your target list, like I said, I have Lebanon Valley on there. I have Rowan on there already. It's really easy to build that list. You can hit the like button, a little heart. Then when you go to your profile, your activity feed, I'm sorry, actually back in the schools, it's right there. We see that my list of favorite schools pops up when I'm doing that research. Montclair, Rutgers, Rowan, TCNJ, Stockton, Arcadia, Lehigh, Misericordia popped right up there, right? And then you can rank your schools using this. You can send a message real quick to the coach. This will this will go to a message page with the head coach and the assistant coaches. You can add to it. You can then say, hey, I've talked to the coach. I've received a view from them. I'm doing a campus visit. You can check all these things off and really say like, hey, I'm doing everything I can from behind the scenes. From there, just make sure, and this is part of some of your action items that we're going to talk about for junior and seniors. I'm going off, I'm doing this part now, is just to say, hey, fill out your statement at the top here. Talk about some quick highlights. This is all made up. I'm not actually a high school junior. So keep that in mind. I'm not in the yearbook committee. I think I was in the yearbook committee, but I'm definitely not in the pottery club. And I think a cool thing that I added as an example is that I'm looking to play soccer at the Division III level and excel in my academics to work as a financial advisor in the future. If I was a college coach and I read that, and I'd be like, wow, yeah, that's pretty unique. I think this player has a right mind of thinking, and we're gonna go see them play. It's that simple. High school information, club information with coach information, midfield, height and weight, if you want to put that on there. I add all of our events on there for each team, so you'll see your upcoming list of events that we're finalizing in the next week. Your GPA, if you have a class rank, throw that up there. I definitely didn't get a 1200 on my SAT, but I put that up there for good looks. So just know that you guys can be very you are the ones in control of this, and what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So that was a quick dry and fast way to describe Sports Recruits and what that can do for you. If there are certain things you want to look at, like how to do some video and how to edit some clips and some highlight reels, maybe the actual admissions process, Sports Recruits does a great job of putting together their own webinars. Obviously, I can't talk about all those things in one umbrella in an hour, or sporadically every couple of weeks. Check these out. These webinars are 20, 30, maybe 40 minutes long at the most. Not a ton of commitment. You can revisit them whenever you want. They open it up to kind of all sports, so you can think about soccer as the wheels are turning, and they do a great job of presenting. So go ahead and check them out when you get a chance. If you guys have any questions at any point, please throw them in the chat or hold on to them for the end. But we're going to dive into some action items that I want the juniors to focus on in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And then we'll talk about the seniors. We'll be on your way. So always, I just harped on it, update that profile, get the information done, put that personal statement in there, right? You guys are in kind of a breakout year now in your junior year of getting identified. If you want to play college soccer, you got to separate yourself from the pack. How are you going to catch a coach's attention if they're viewing your profile, right? How are you going to catch a coach's attention when you're playing soccer? You're going to do something positive for the benefit of your team, right? How can you do that in an email? Think of these things. the verification process, just make sure, or the progress, just make sure. A lot of people forget to put a profile photo up there, and it goes a long way, right? If I haven't, for some reason, I forget what a kid looks like, or he cut his hair, and I forget what you look like, and you're coming to campus, I can click on your profile real quick and be like, oh, that's what he looks like, right? You always want to make sure that those things are done. If your grad year sometimes is not adjusted due to some NLSA teams are 06, 07, on my 05 boys, I have some seniors and some juniors. Make sure your grad year is accurate, and make sure you fill out your position, and you'll kind of get your little blue Twitter check mark to be official. Make it look good. Reiterate to your coaches that you want to play college soccer. We have connections, right? We're not going to get you in to every school, or we're not going to do that for you. But if we believe that you can play at a school and you can contribute to their program, we're going to be honest with the coach. If we have a connection there, we're going to help you through that process. We are great resources. We can recommend things. We can, hey, if you're unsure of what to email a coach, shoot me over a quick thing of what you think you should, and then here's some feedback, right? And get that email out. So you should have all of your sophomore year stuff up on your profile, whether it's your GPA, your class rank, your ACT, your SAT scores. If you haven't registered for the SAT and a school that you want to go to on your target list requires the SAT, you better sign up and take the SAT, right? That's part of your homework throughout this process, to know that, 7 of my 10 target schools that I'm going to apply to require the SAT. So, and only 2 of them require the ACT. So I should probably take the SAT. If your top 2 of your 10 are ACT required, you got to take the ACT as well. So just know that these things have to be recognized. You can check these out on admissions websites on schools and what they're requiring. I already talked about this on Sports Recruits, but rank those schools a little bit. I think your top 3 to 5 are your, like, hey, if I'm being recruited, I'm having conversations, this is where I want to play. This is maybe some conversations I've had with some coaches. And then your bottom half, maybe your 5 through 8, 5 through 10 are backup schools. Maybe you might have a chance to play there, but you're not getting recruited. Maybe the coach told you have a walk-on opportunity. If you want to go there, you have a tryout in the spring. Just know that in your own head, where you're having these conversations with coaches and how they're fitting you into their recruiting plans, also reflect your status of your list of schools and where you want to rank these schools in that process. Okay. And be honest, right? As much as I probably wanted to play at the University of Virginia, I couldn't play at the University of Virginia. I could have gone to the University of Virginia and had a great time and watched the soccer team play and maybe play club soccer, but you got to be honest with yourself, right? If you've sent 10 emails, you've gotten no response, and you look at the roster and all these guys are playing academy or MLS Next or they're internationals, trust me, there's a chance that you're probably not going there. All right. So just make sure that you're being honest in your own ranking system of these schools. So we're still in the juniors here. Make sure those video highlights are done. All right. If your school does a good job, and I've seen a lot of high schools out there do a great job of filming soccer games now and either live streaming them and putting them into a cloud or asking your coach for access to them, get some of those highlights. Make sure these highlights are 2 to 3. I think even 4 minutes is maybe pushing it a little bit. You can do like a high school 2-minute, 3-minute highlight video. You can do an NLSA 2-3 minute highlight video, 4-star, 5-star, right? If you have to second guess, if you think it's a 4-star or a 5-star, it's probably not good enough, right? I don't want to see a 2.5-minute video of you running down a kid because you're really fast. If you're an outside back and you're catching an attacking player every time, right? I want to see you be able to ping in maybe a very dynamic overlap from an outside back position. If you're a winger, I want to see you be able to beat players to the line and serving good crosses. I want to see assists. I want to see scoring headers off corners, right? I want to see goalkeepers making great saves. I want to see goalkeepers holding on to soccer balls and not giving up rebounds. I want to be able to see a player that can play a long ball 40 yards over an outside back's head. These are some examples of maybe what coaches are looking for in the video process, where they're not going to give you 30 minutes of their day to watch your video all day long, right? They want to see what you can do it quick. Nice. I'm going to write this player's name down. We're going to check them out the next tournament. That's all I needed to see. I don't recommend sending full games to coaches. Highly don't recommend. If they ask for it, perfect. Send it. If they don't send it. Start to request some campus visits when you're having these conversations with coaches, whether they're unofficial or official, with these schools that you're in contact with or on your target list. If you're not getting the opportunity to get a visit, try to schedule a campus visit with the admissions department, and then email the coach to say, hey, coach, I have an admissions tour. I'm checking out the campus. We're talking to the business school. Just wanted to see if you had 5 or 10 minutes of your time to talk about maybe where you're at with your recruiting process, to see if I could be included on your radar, right? You got to be honest, and you got to ask the hard questions as you get into this year. As time starts to tick throughout halfway through your junior year, it's time to start considering, hey, your target list is starting to dwindle down from 10 to 8 to 7 to 6, right? And we need to make sure that we're being honest. I'm going to say that a few times tonight. Be honest throughout this process. Asking questions, engaging with the coach on these visits. Make sure the player, you are asking the questions, you're having the conversations. Parents, we love you, but the the player, the student athlete has to engage and answer the questions. And yes, I can get it. It can be intimidating. You can be shy, but it will help you in the long run, and it will help you be a better professional in the future, to be able to have conversations. Talk soccer, right? Ask their coaching style. Talk about your own style of play, things that come naturally to you, right? A couple more junior action items here. Make sure you're responding to coaches and send the pre-showcase emails. And don't send 4 paragraphs in a pre-showcase email. 1 paragraph. Hey, coach, I'm playing at this upcoming tournament X, Y, and Z. I noticed that you guys have business at your school. I'm looking to be a financial advisor in the future and would love to major in finance and possibly look for a minor in marketing. Be creative, right? Show that you did a little bit of homework on the school before you sent the email, right? I noticed that you guys have had some great success in your recent seasons, and I would love for you to come watch me play to hopefully contribute to the further success of your program. Here's my schedule for tournament X, Y, and Z. My jersey is number 10, and we are either in blue or white. Thank you for your time. Be specific about why you want to attend. Don't send an email to Coach Chris and have it say, hey, Coach Brian, right? Because what am I going to do to that? I'm going to be like, oh, that kid sent that email to 10 other coaches, and they probably were all Coach Brian or Coach Chris, whoever it may be. Delete, right? Some people are like that. I promise. Make sure you're doing your proofreading. Do not leave messages unanswered. And even if they are messages from schools that you're not interested in, or, you know, a school that's further down your list that you're not, you know, it's not your first priority, but it's a great backup plan just in case. Be respectful, especially of coaches' times. This is their livelihood. This is what they do for a living, and they want to be successful. You have to be honest. Say, hey, coach, I really appreciate you reaching out. Right now, school ABC is a little bit further down my list, and at this time I'm pursuing other opportunities, but I will let you know if my focus changes. And thank you again. Be mindful of future opportunities to play at college, right? You might have a list of 5 schools that you're really working on to try and get recruited by, and you might not get on that list, right? You might only be offered, hey, you can come out in the spring to try out, but right now you're not on our recruiting list. Suddenly that 7th or 8th school that, you know, you responded to and said, hey, coach, I'm interested in coming back. That coach, you know, might say, hey, great, that's awesome. Thank you for your time. And I appreciated your respectful email that you responded to, or you never know. So just be mindful that you're trying to see the glass half full and you're optimistic, you know, with your opportunity. Don't drag coaches along through the process and tell them that you're interested when you're really not. like I said, be honest. Get through the juniors here a little bit more as we get into late spring, even throughout, there's actually one in 2 weeks at F&M, some ID clinics and camps I just found. That's why I said that. Start to see where these ID clinics are happening. If they're happening on college campuses, are you interested in going to get a pretty much an unofficial visit by having an ID clinic, and being able to just tour the campus, maybe talk to admissions that day, talk to a couple players on the roster, engage with assistant coaches that you might not normally get a chance to. If they're on your target list of schools and they're having an ID clinic that's just them at their school, highly recommend attending, because then you're going to get some answers on your recruiting process, where you're at with them. And also you're going to get an experience on campus playing soccer, maybe on their field, right? And touring with other recruits that you might be going to school with. That's a great opportunity, and really consider it. If I'm going to actually jump on the website, if you're on our recruiting resources page on nlsasoccer.com or Sprocket Sports, nlsa.sprocketsports.com, go to recruiting resources. At the top, you'll see some information with sports recruits and athlete match, whatever platform you're on with your team. You'll see a little middle blurb here that is a integrated Google Calendar that between myself, Brian, Connor, and Rob, we try and do our best to forward these to me, and I put them all into a calendar that is automatically uploaded onto this webpage, where if you're interested in attending the F&M clinic on February 20th, all the details are right here. All you do is click on this link, takes you to their page, shows you where it's at. You're literally on the F&M website. Well, it's the clinic soccer website. Details, what's going on, time, lunch, fees, location, whatever you need. There you go, all done. We're not going to have every ID clinic up there, because we only find out about them as much as we can try and research, and we get word of mouth or we get emails. So you might have to do a little bit of your own research, but it's a good resource to have at your hands on our website. We're getting to the end of the juniors, I promise. Doing great, juniors. Yep. Uh-oh. I go keyboard here. Okay. You can track your statistics and your views from colleges with Sports Recruits, which I really like. You can find out real-time data whenever a coach views your profile, watches your video, looks at your transcripts, clicks some links on your profile, track some of that data. You can find that on your page, pretty accessible, and say like, wow, this coach has clicked on my profile 20 times this month, and I haven't had a conversation with him. I got to get in his inbox, or maybe my emails are going to spam, or he doesn't have my right email. Phone call goes a long way, right? I think it's time in your junior year to really consider what college is going to cost, right? And start to focus on, wow, that school's a lot of money, and what do I have to do to make sure I can afford this? Or is my family going to support me in this decision? And have the harder conversations, whether they're hard or not, with your family about what the cost may be. And is that something that you can research for academic scholarship offerings? Are you keeping your grades up, right? Are you doing everything from your end to lower tuition costs to help the cost? Because last time I checked, cost of school is not low and it's only gone up. So keep that in mind, and try to ask your parents and your guardians about, hey, is this something that we can talk about, just to make sure I'm doing everything from my end the correct way. Start to prepare your college applications, understand windows of opportunity in capped programs. And when I say capped programs, if you're applying to nursing school and they only take 50 freshmen into that nursing school, make sure your application gets in the window that they're accepting applications. If the business school accepts 250 students, then make sure that your application is in on a good time to make sure that you're getting recognized for acceptance into the business school. Visit those admissions websites, make sure you have everything you need between SAT, ACT scores, GPA, class rank, whatever it may be, letter of recommendation, everything that you need, make sure it's ready to go. Playing a summer league, find an opportunity to get on a team somewhere locally. I've made this my own action item to try and find you guys some assistance in word of mouth or some research, maybe letting you know about some opportunities locally of U18, U20 teams, U23 leagues to play for juniors this year going into your senior year, to make sure that you're ready for your high school season and you're ready to have an excellent senior year. And then seniors that are on the call, obviously you'll be going into college possibly, and we want to make sure that you're fit for preseason. Same thing for seniors in high school preseason, but it's important to stay sharp and stay fit. The recruiting process doesn't take time off in the summer, and neither should you. I just made that up. That was pretty good. Seniors for out there, do not panic. Look at that guy on the screen, right? That I don't know why I was so angry back in 2007, right? And for those of you that know me, I'm a very nice guy, I like to believe, but I was not 5'9" either. That's not true. So my story real quick, I was recruited to play at 4 or 5 schools, all Division III, pretty competitive. Montclair came onto the scene pretty late in the process, about end of January. I was seen at a winter ID or a winter tournament back in the day, and coach reached out to me. I went up to do a day visit with my parents. I really liked it. Coach liked it. I got a chance to talk to 2 of the assistant coaches. One was there, and obviously the head coach. We had some lunch. It was nice to kind of engage with that. Like 2 weeks later, I went back only for another day visit. I went on my own. I had a chance to hang out with some players. I actually went to a class, and I don't know if sometimes things have changed. Sometimes you can't do that now. I sat in a class with one of the freshmen there. I talked to a couple players. I kind of fell in love with Montclair really quickly. And after that 2-week window, get my application in, February came and went. I didn't make my decision until middle of March. And it was a little stressful at that point because I was graduating high school in 3 months, and I was like, oh man, I got to make a decision. What's going on? Like, am I going to even get into school? Like, what's happening? But please understand, it's not too late, right? It's February 1st in 2 days. So we got time. And for the seniors out there, if you're watching this, reach out to me. Let's try and set up a call. If you're still in the recruiting process, or you're unsure of what to do, or you have not committed yet and you want to get on a radar, let's set up a call. Whether it's in person, we can talk real quick for 15 or 20 minutes at a late practice over the next week or 2, or a Zoom one-on-one. Let's discuss, because I don't want you guys to be deterred away from the fact that there could be an opportunity for you, but you also have to do some work, and we got to do it pretty quick because we're in the 11th hour here. All right. But we'll get that ugly mug off the screen there. So seniors, if you have not done so already and you need financial assistance, please complete your FAFSA. That was supposed to be done in the fall. This determines your eligibility for federal grants, loans, and work study funds. Juniors that are listening, in October 1st of your senior year, that's when the FAFSA opens. Make a note. We'll make sure we get that information out to you as well as a reminder. Complete your applications for any school seniors as soon as possible. We need to get those applications in, right? That should be done this week, or you should be finding out what you need to get done this week to be like, hey, I need to get accepted here, or I haven't finished it. I thought about that school. Get your application in now. Update the profile, send it to coaches, get it out to them by Friday, and say, hey, coach, I'm kind of through the process a little bit. I'm unsure of my decision. I would love to get a final look for you. If you're still taking 2023 graduates for the 2023 fall season, would love to get on your radar. Here's my profile. like I said, reach out to your coach or me or your high school coach and say like, hey, I'm still trying to play. Um, with our connections, we could probably help you get exposure in the next couple weeks. We can't guarantee anything, but we'll do our best to be like, hey, if you're telling me you want to play at the University of Virginia and you're a senior, then I'm going to say, all right, well, we need to have a conversation separately. But outside of that, if it's a real situation that we can help you with, we're going to do everything that we can, right? So seniors coming up, let's message those coaches and send your pre-showcase emails just like the juniors are doing. Your target list of schools should probably be 2 to 3 at this point, maybe 4 or 5 as some backup plans. Get it get it done as soon as possible. And even for seniors, I would include, if you have a tournament this weekend or next weekend, whatever it may be, say, hey, coach, I'll also be attending the EDP Spring Showcase. I'll be at this one and that one just to give them another opportunity if they're not attending the upcoming tournament that you're setting that schedule for. Just make sure you're having that dialogue with coaches. If you have some type of active dialogue going, pick up the phone and call them, right? No, ask them where they're at in their recruiting process. And if you're still on their radar, if you've taken some time off or you haven't followed up with messages, don't leave message or questions unanswered if coaches request information from you as well. Get your campus visit done as soon as possible. And I put this in red for seniors because we got to get on campus and see what's going on, especially if you haven't been there yet. If you haven't been there yet, I will say it's probably it's a late window, but we can try. I mean, you saw my story, so there's an opportunity, but ask important questions where their current recruiting class stands, where you can see yourself in the team. Can you make the team? Is there an opportunity to walk on? All opportunities for you to still play the game at the next level. Almost done here on the senior action items, and then we'll wrap up with some of my thoughts. Don't be discouraged. If you're not able to play soccer immediately or be recruited by anyone at this point of the recruiting process, please do not be discouraged. You can attend a university, you can attend a great school, you can attend your dream school as long as you get in, right? And you accept and you do everything you're supposed to do. You could walk on, you could try out, you could play club soccer, you could play intramurals. There's opportunities out there. There might be an opportunity for you to earn a roster spot in the future as well. One of my club teammates ended up walking on to a Division I school, and he was actually a captain his senior year, believe it or not. He didn't play his freshman year. He worked his tail off for 2 years, did everything he could, became a starter his senior year, and really just did really well. So there's opportunity out there. Don't be discouraged, and we're going to help you through that process a little bit. Make sure you have your backup plan, right? Like I said, that list of 2 to 3 might be 3 to 4, with 3 and 4 being your backup schools, even 5. Just have a plan in place and then commit. Let us know. We would love to celebrate your commitment and what you're doing in the future and show that, we as a club have tried to do everything right to get you into the next level and guide you throughout this path a little bit, and all the hard work that you've put in throughout this time to be like, hey, this is an opportunity that not many people get, and we want to make sure that we celebrate that with you and for you. So some of my final thoughts, if you guys have any questions that you want to pop out there, we have 15 minutes left, but we'll probably wrap up in the next 10 with a few slides here on my feedback and things I've seen throughout the years. Excuse me. Be open to different levels. If you think you're a Division I player, ask your coach if they think you're a Division I player. If you think you're only good enough for Division III, ask your coach that question, right? Finding the right fit is more important than trying to fit in at a certain level. Trust me, I wanted to play at Duke and be on ESPN in the College Cup, right? But that wasn't real for me, and I understood that. You have to come to terms with, and be honest with your own abilities and where you're at in your recruiting process, and if you can make it happen. So there's a lot of really good soccer out there. Go watch games live. Go see what the top Division III teams in the area and the region are doing, and how fast those guys actually are and how quick and skillful those girls actually are, because I think you'd be impressed. I really I talk about this because I had 6 knee surgeries. I went through a lot of time on the sideline and still managed to have a somewhat successful career. But I like to say if the NCAA took soccer away from your school for some crazy reason, are you in the right spot? Are you in a place that you can see yourself going to class, having a good social life, having a good academic career, shaping the next 30 to 40 years of your professional life? Right? Are you in the right place? Because unfortunately, for a lot of us, soccer ends. It is very rare to do this and make money doing so and be very successful at it. We watch the Premier League every weekend. We watch all these professional teams all the time. And there is a chance that soccer will end. And we have to be honest and know that, hey, if we can't play soccer anymore, are we doing everything we can to make sure we're getting our degree and shaping the next 30 to 40, 50 years of our life? Choose a school that is right for you, even if you do not end up playing soccer. Unfortunately, coaches get fired. Like I said, it's the reality of the world that sport is. And if the new coach comes in and he or she doesn't think you're a good fit for the roster and you don't make the team the next year, are you in the right place? I heard this quote last week and it was pretty fitting for the timing of it. And I tweaked it just a little bit, but I wanted to share it with you guys. Make a calculated decision for 40 years of fulfillment, not an uncertain choice for a 4-year adventure. So this college experience is going to be an adventure. Trust me, it's going to be a fun adventure. You're going to have a good time and you're going to go through a really cool maturation process of finding yourself and becoming a contributing member of society. But make sure your options are calculated and you understand whether it's risk, reward, benefits, pros, cons, how far are you from home? Do you need to travel to school? Whatever it may be, make sure that you're weighing your decision based off factors that you did your research for and you said, hey, I like this school because it checked 8 of 10 boxes, right? Not because your emotions told you, wow, that they have a really cool soccer stadium and I want to play there, right? That doesn't make any sense. So make sure you're making a decision for 40 years of fulfillment, because college ends for a lot of us too. As much as people enjoy their time in college and take an extra year or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever it may be, we're shaping the next 30 to 40 years of our professional life and what you want to do to hopefully be successful, start a family, whatever it may be that you choose to do is to have a positive impact on the world that we live in. This is going to help you, right? And make sure that this decision is calculated. No need to rush on a commitment for a decision. More so for the juniors, this goes back to the quote beforehand: take your time, weigh your options, figure out the best plan for you. Mom and dad, guardian, Aunt Sally, whoever it may be, we love you guys, but this decision is for the player, and it is important for your guidance to be there for your student athlete or your son or your daughter throughout this process. But the best plan has to be for them and what they decide. And if we can make it work, we're going to make it work, right? First impressions make a big difference. If you're, at your first showcase event and a coach comes up and you might be in the middle of the first half and you're in an emotional moment where a player on the other team, or you don't like a referee's decision and you decide to yell at the referee and the coach walks up and that's the first thing they see about you, that's a first impression you failed on, right? If you sent the email to Coach Brian and you sent it to me and my name is Coach Chris, you failed on your first impression there. Be specific. That interest in those emails, be specific about what you're saying about the school, about the athletic program, whatever it may be. Sometimes people say you only get one chance to make a first impression. You're young, you guys will make mistakes, it happens, but some coaches are like, yeah, no, we'll move that person down the list a little bit. So make a lasting first impression. I think we don't have to talk about it as much anymore because everybody is now understanding how real the world of social media is. But I'm going to say it, you got to be mindful of what you're putting out there. It could be a factor in a coach deciding what they're going to do for you in the recruiting process. They might scratch your name off a list because of something that you put out there that you thought was funny, that was offensive, right? Or something that you thought was appropriate that was inappropriate. Private versus public, do you have a blog? Whatever it may be. Do you do TikTok dances? I don't know what you kids do. Make sure you're smart about what you're putting out there, right? Because like I said, 5.5% of high school boys soccer players play college. 7% of girls soccer players, high school soccer players play in college. It's a very small number. Some of the most successful players in their programs did a lot of work behind the scenes to make themselves stand out. I got this from a friend of mine who coaches over in Pennsylvania. He's a head coach at a Division III school. He told me that one of his recruits last year, who's a freshman, sent him an email during the holidays and said, "Hey coach, just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Wishing the best to you and your family." That stood out for him as a coach. He thought that went a long way, and he was sold on him. He liked him. He wanted him to come, but from a program standpoint and a character standpoint and someone he wanted to influence in the future to help that young man grow as an individual, that went a long way for that guy, for that coach. And he was like, yeah, I want this kid on my roster, and we're going to make him a better soccer player in the next 2 years and whatever it may be. So what are you doing to stand out from the rest of the field, and all the other recruits out there that are interested in school ABC to say, hey, I'm the guy, or I'm the girl that you want. Coach B says you get out of it what you put into it, right? If you sit there and do nothing, I promise you not much is going to happen, right? If you're working hard, if you're trying to get everything done, trying to get the right admissions pieces in line to make sure that you're going to get accepted into the university, good things will happen, right? Things will come. Just be patient. You get out of it what you put into it. It's the same with getting better, right? It's the same with improving your first touch. It's the same with your ability to make a save, whatever it may be, right? If you're not working at it to become better at it, nothing's going to happen. So put the work in, right? So any questions, comments, thoughts, parents? I kind of quickly touched base on your role a little bit already in this process. I always kind of joked around when I did my recruiting visits as an assistant and was saying, hey, as much as, your mom or dad is a very nice person in the conversations that we've had today, I'm not going to coach your mom. I'm not going to coach your dad. I'm going to coach you as the player. And I want to talk to you, and I want to get to know you as the individual who I'm going to know for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, whatever it may be, and then into the future. So if you have a question or you have something out there that you want to talk about, please put it in the chat. My final thought, you're a student athlete. When you go into a school, you are labeled as a student athlete. First thing that comes in that statement, student, right? If soccer gets taken away from you, are you in the right spot? Your future academic success is your first priority. When you make that final decision, you're in your process of recruiting. Your goal is to attend college to achieve a degree, which is going to open a lot of doors for you in the future with that piece of paper, right? You got to step through that door and make yourself stand out. But your passion for soccer should really come in pair with being a student athlete and knowing like, hey, I have a drive and a goal to be a great soccer player and succeed and help this program. And I'm going to be a great academic individual and open a lot of doors for myself. And those two motivating factors together are going to make you successful, right? But know that you are a student first, because if you don't get it done in the classroom, you're not playing. I'll tell you that much right now. If you don't have the grades, there's requirements. You can't, there's certain schools have their own requirements. The NCAA has a minimum. You have to get it done in the classroom or you can't play, right? Student athlete, student first. From there, if you guys have any questions ever, please shoot me a quick email. Like I said, seniors, if you have some last minute questions or you need information or you need guidance, let's get on a call as soon as possible. As soon as this week, if we can find a time, let's talk. Let's see where you're at, right? Even if you just need, some guidance on like, hey, I'm not sure. What should I do? Let's talk about your options. Get on the recruiting page if you need some help. Somebody sent me a private message of, hold up. It was a direct message. Chris, do you have any insight on ID clinics versus major clinics? Yeah, I think I briefly talked about this. It was, if you could find those clinics that are individualized, that are occurring on campuses, you're getting a lot of hands in the jar at that opportunity by talking to the coaching staff, getting exposure by playing on the campus in front of coaches and possibly assistant coaches, talking to current players on the roster, getting a tour of campus, maybe talking to some academic people, whatever they have in line that day. Maybe you get to have lunch in the cafeteria and you can see how the food is. You never know. There might be some opportunities for you there where you could do some things. There are good larger clinics out there, but I will say, email me if you're unsure. If you're not sure about, hey, this clinic looks like it's a big clinic, there's a ton of coaches going, is this something I should look into, or is this worth it? I promise I'll try and point you in the right direction and give you my feedback, and go from there. But good question. Thank you for asking that. Does anyone else have any questions out there? I've done a lot of talking, and this is my third one with the freshmen, sophomores, and now juniors and seniors. So if anyone has anything, please speak now or go to bed. I guess that's the joke of the night. That was such a bad joke. All right, cool. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for sticking around. I will make sure that this recording is put out there for those who weren't able to attend. And if you have questions, please email, call, text, catch me at a practice and pull me aside. I like to meet people in person and put a face to a name. So if there's nothing further, you got 2 minutes to spare. Please enjoy the rest of your nights. Have a wonderful week, and go NLSA.
Thanks, Chris.
The